And welcome to LSU Tigers Live here on the Voice of College Football Network. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube, you are watching it from the LSU at the Voice of College Football YouTube channel. If you don't mind, make sure to like this video and subscribe to YouTube channel. Of course, it's for free, but the more likes, the more subscribers, the more people get to view our content. We can get back in the algorithm. So everyone gets a chance to see what your LSU Fighting Tigers are doing at this moment. We have a lot to talk about. Of course, earlier this morning, some big news dropped out of Baton Rouge as LSU president William F. Tate announced that, it was reported that he will be the new president at Rutgers. And we're going to discuss what happened there. And then also why, the future of LSU athletics depends on who the new president will be. All that will be discussed. We'll also talk about some big LSU recruiting news. And we'll also talk about where LSU baseball stands in terms of the super regional. Lots and lots to talk about, even as this is kind of a dead period in LSU sports. Of course, we know we got baseball going on, but baseball is soon to be ending. We're getting ready to begin the postseason play, even though the conference tournament is not technically postseason play. It's the beginning of it, right? I mean, LSU will travel to Hoover this week for a chance to win the SEC championship. And really, they need to have a big show in there because, remember, they're kind of on the bubble of hosting a super regional. The better you perform in Hoover, the better your chances are of hosting super regional. Right now, LSU is going to host. They're going to host a regional regardless of what happens in Hoover. But if they want to host a super regional, they need a strong performance. Once again, I'm your host, Grant Sastre. I haven't announced it. I don't know why I didn't announce it. But I'm your host for this show. And Zach, of course, couldn't join us tonight, unfortunately. This week is graduation week for a lot of the high schools in Louisiana. So he would not be joining us today, but he'll join us next time. So that's why if you don't see a white dude with glasses on, that's because he's at a graduation right now. And wish him the best. We'll probably discuss it the next time he comes on the show. But before we break everything down, I'm gonna play a quick promo about our deal with Amazon, and and then once that video ends, right on to LSU news.
You can make a difference here at the Voice of College Football. Use the Amazon link. Financially contribute to the Voice of College Football without spending a penny. Same shopping experience. It's easy. Go to any video on any channel. Go to the description section and grab the link right next to the capital letters that say Amazon. Use that link, and Amazon will instantaneously convert to your account, settings, history, everything intact, just like whatever link you use right now. No difference. Pay no attention to the product that you see right there. Just go search what you want. Don't forget the Amazon link. Thank you for your support. Sincerely, the Voice of College Football.
Anyway, that was Mark Rogers, of course, the guy who runs everything here, not only the Voice of College Football. Not only the LSU and the Voice of College Football Network, but he runs the whole thing. He runs the national Voice of College Football Network. He owns the Voice of College Football, the Michigan, the Voice of College Football. Every major team you can think of that is affiliated with the Voice of College Football Network, he owns it. He's going to get a good percentage of the check. But anyway, let's get this started with the news on William F. Tate, the president of the Louisiana State University. It has been announced that he will be taking the same position, but all the way across the country in Piscataway, New Jersey, at a college called Rutgers University. I think everyone who follows college sports knows who Rutgers is. Rutgers is the largest university in New Jersey. I think it's got like 25,000, 30,000 students. It's a large, really large university. I don't think people realize how big Rutgers is, but he will be accepting that job, of course. Rutgers is a little bit better of a academic institution than, let's say, LSU, but they also have money. And there's a lot of money at Rutgers because they're in the New York City metropolitan area. And there's a lot of money at Rutgers, a lot of untapped potential. And I think, it's somebody like him he's been around a lot of athletic programs. Not only at LSU, as served as the president at LSU for the past 5 years, but he was originally in South Carolina. He also did some time at TCU. I know most of his time was spent as an academic at Washington University in St. Louis, which is one of the top academic institutions in the country. But he's also, like I said, spent a lot of times, a lot of schools where the athletics is really important, like TCU and South Carolina. And not only is William F. Tate the very first black president in the history of Louisiana State University, but he's the very first black president. He's the very first black person to serve as a president of a university in the Southeastern Conference. So he is, I guess you could say, a trailblazer. Although I don't know how much of a trip. I mean, he's a trailblazer, but when you think of trailblazers, you think of Jackie Robinson or people who were the first at their profession at the time when, let's say, a lot of people didn't view. Some people didn't view some people as humans. Some people saw them as inferior. So maybe that's where it may seem kind of extreme to call William F. Tate a trailblazer, but he is the very first black man, a black person to serve as a president of a Southeastern Conference university. So it's a very, very huge milestone in that part. But there is some political stuff that happens. And look, I don't care if you're Democrat. I don't care if you're Republican. I don't care if you're independent, socialist, communist, whatever, right? I don't care. I don't care if you have R or D next to your name. I don't care. But this was political. But not in the way you think, right? So you got to think about this. Presidents are installed, or they are hired by members of the board of trustees, right? The members of the board are hired by the governor. They're appointed by the governor. So when President Tate was elected as the president of, well, not elected, but appointed as the president of the Louisiana State University system, because remember, LSU is the flagship university of a system. John Bell Edwards was the governor. The people he appointed on the board of members were loyal to John Bell Edwards. However, remember, John Bell Edwards is a Democrat. Jeff Landry, who has been the governor since, I believe, last year, 2024, if I remember the exact date. He's been the governor for close to 2 years now. But when Jeff Landry came in, he fired somebody I forgot the guy's name, but he hired somebody up, and somebody that was kind of way up in the board of trustees, and installed his own. And I think that's when you start to think, okay, maybe President Tate's time is coming to a close. By the way, Jeff Landry served it a year. He got in office January 8th, 2024. But anyway, going back to what I was saying. And so the writing's on the wall. So I think that Governor Landry forced Tate out, just like, hey, you might want to start looking for a job. I want to put in my guy, right? And so I can see that happening. And of course, President Tate's done a great look. He's done a great job at LSU. He's not only done a great job with the academic. I know he's the president, so he handles all the academic stuff, but he also was in alignment with the athletic department. When LSU was hiring Brian Kelly, he was very much involved in the search. Now, he took a step back, but, he still wanted to get some information. Like, he was very much involved in athletics, right, from the get-go. To the point where there were some rumors spread around that he wanted to hire a person of color, whether it's black or Hispanic, as a new head coach. That was thrown around a lot, but that was not true. That was not true at all. Remember, when all those rumors were coming about, that was when he installed the vax mandates at LSU. And at the point, he was kind of unpopular, actually. When he started off, he was fairly unpopular because of the vax mandates. And it's not like he was and it wasn't like the policy was, hey, if you're not vaxxed, you can't come on campus. It was more like, hey, if you don't want to get vaccination, every 2 weeks or so, you have to do COVID testing. Right? And that's fair. Right? Because at the time, it was early 2021. COVID was still sort of a thing. You want to make sure everyone was safe, including the students. Although there were some objections to it, of course. I mean, that was a very hot time. But overall, I didn't mind it. I don't care. That's not gonna stop me from going to class. I'm not gonna throw a fit about it. Because I was actually student at that time, so I remember all that. But over time, a lot of LSU fans grew to love him because of how invested he was in athletics. He was invested in football, men's basketball, women's basketball, baseball, softball, you name it. He was heavily invested in athletics, and that's what made him a fairly popular member over time. And he got along with Scott Woodward a whole lot because they were in line on what they want to do with the athletic program. Hence, all the success they've had. During President Tate's time, they've won a national championship baseball, gymnastics, and women's basketball. I know football's had its issues, but again, he was part of the hiring process to hire Brian Kelly. At the time, we wasn't very sure who else was going to hire. And we didn't think that you could pull a guy like Brian Kelly away from Notre Dame, but they did, right? Scott Woodward did mostly, but William Tate was a large part of the hiring process. And he was very active. He was a very active member of the LSU community. People loved him. Coaches, administrators, they all loved him. And not only that, I remember there was a speech he gave at the women's basketball. And it was a speech, and obviously you could tell he was, I guess you could say he was hungover, but nobody cared, right? Because I think everyone was hungover when the women's basketball team won the national championship in 2023. But he gave a speech, and it was basically about the 5 pillars of rap and how he merged that together with how the women's basketball team won the national championship. It was really funny, but also a really unique speech, and a lot of people loved it. Once again, this is just it was a political move by Jeff Landry to put his guy, right? And look, I know a lot of LSU fans have not liked Jeff Landry, right? It's not because he's a conservative and they're liberal. A lot of LSU fans are conservative. Louisiana's a red state. But they haven't liked how Jeff Landry used LSU as a prop, right? With the whole national anthem controversy with the women's basketball team. He wanted all the LSU teams to go out on the field for the national anthem, although they've never really gone on the field or on the court at all for the national anthem. Actually, I think the only sport where they do the national anthem is baseball, and that's because the dugout's still early on the field. Football, they're always in the locker room and then during the national anthem, and it was even during and that was even during actually. I don't think when have they ever been on the field for the national anthem, right? Besides the the national championship games or whatnot, like very special games. But at Tiger Stadium, when was the last time they're on the field? And so it became a big deal, and multiple people explained it to him. But then he started going on Fox News, started doing this and that, and it pissed off a lot of LSU fans, even people that supported Landry. So that was the first example. You can look it up. Jordy Collada talked about it. A lot of people talked about it, right? So I'm not the only one that's saying that. I'm not making stuff up. A lot of people heavily disagreed with Jeff Landry's stances on LSU, how he's used LSU, or how he's used LSU as a prop, right? And there's even some people on Twitter that I know very well, that I know are conservative, and they haven't liked what Jeff Landry has done by using LSU as a prop. And that was one example, but I think the best example was when he the Omar the Tiger situation, right? Governor Landry, it was well known throughout the season that he's wanted to bring the Magic back. He wanted to bring a Tiger back into the stadium, because LSU for a very long time, she used to put Mike the Tiger in the cage and parade him out the stadium. They would actually put him right next to the visitors' locker room for intimidation reasons and stuff like that. He was a big part of game day, but the latest addition of Mike the Tiger, since he was brought on campus, I believe it was 2017, 2018, he doesn't really like the crowds. That's why you don't see him at Tiger Stadium anymore. That's why he doesn't go in his cage. He's in his exhibit because that's where he feels the most comfortable. And the people that take care of him respect that. So does the university. Like I said, Mike, and I've joked about this Mike all the time. If LSU was on fire and they had the choice between saving 30,000 students or Mike the Tiger, they're picking Mike the Tiger every single time. So what Governor Landry did was he flew in a Tiger from Florida named Omar the Tiger, or I think it was like Omar. He was named after a general. It was Omar something. It was and they flew him in from Florida. Omar Bradley. He was named Omar Bradley. I'm not even making this up. And so when they flew him in, and it was the most uneventful thing. They shone a light on him, and it was a fairly obese tiger, right? Like a really obese tiger. I need to find the picture for you guys to kind of explain it. It was just like the most cringiest thing in the world. I mean, some people kind of liked it because it was kind of bringing the Magic back, but still, it was just really, really corny. And then of course, that was the Alabama game last year, and LSU lost 42-13 or whatever. It was one of the worst games that has ever been played at Tiger Stadium. Here it is right here. It's Mike Scarborough right here. Oh man. Here it is. So that's Omar the Tiger. And it says that tiger is obese. Like it's a fat tiger. People were T-Bob A-Bear was calling it a meth tiger. Like it was really cringy, and a lot of people didn't like it. Just because it was just once again, Jeff Landry decided to use LSU as a prop for his political gain. And this is not the first time he's used this. Actually, I could pull one of my old tweets. I posted it during the game, and let me pull this up right here. Jeff Landry, yeah, let's watch it. And look, sorry for the political stuff, but Jeff Landry once blamed COVID mandates for LSU losing to Mississippi State in 2020, despite the defense giving up an SEC record, 634 yards. This definitely foreshadowed the Omar Bradley, aka Great Value Mike the Tiger fiasco, also LSU Stadium. Like he's not really liked by look right here. Landry is an ass. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people just don't like him, regardless of your political affiliations. People think he's a joke, right? And I think that's what everyone's kind of worried about right now. And like, to kind of throw this back to it. So this was during the heart of COVID. This is during 2020. And LSU lost 44-34 to Mississippi State. It was they allowed a SEC record 634 yards of passing. But Jeff Landry acted like if the crowd was there in full capacity, that it never would have happened. Let me just tell you this: that LSU defense that year was absolutely dog crap. And not only was it bad, the defensive coordinator, Bo Pelini, was fired after the year because it was the worst LSU defense they had seen since the late 90s. It was horrendous. And actually, that defense set LSU back. I mean, that year set LSU back so many years. Like it's still taking Brian Kelly to fix some of those issues that Bo Pelini did. But once going back to what I was just saying. LSU fans don't really like Governor Landry, right? And look, some of it has to do with the fact that he's a UL Lafayette grad, although I think that's minuscule in this situation. But I think the biggest issue right now is that LSU finally has this thing rolling. LSU was spending money in NIL. They had the #1 transfer portal class coming in. They're recruiting well, not only in the state, but nationally. And what Scott Woodward's plan is to get LSU back when they had the golden age from 2000 to 2009. That was when LSU won 2 national championships for football. They'd won a national championship baseball in 2008. I know they had the smoke years involved in that as well, where they go the Cultural Series a couple years in a row, but it didn't work out. They hired Paul Maneri. But Paul Maneri was able to do a quick fix. They won a national championship in his 3rd year at the helm. Women's basketball went to 5 straight Final Fours. Who else? The men's basketball team went to a Final Four. Gymnastics was rolling. Like, that was a great time to be an LSU fan. And Scott Woodward was a part of the administration when all that happened. He wasn't an athletic director, but he worked under Emmert and some sort of like liaison type of role. And he wants to bring the magic back to LSU. But for that to happen, there needs to be alignment. The reason why they were so successful in the 2000s was because there was alignment with Mark Emmert, with Joe Dean, and then of course Skip took over as the AD, and then of course it goes along with the coaches, not only Nick Saban or Les Miles, but Dede Bro and Paul Maneri and all those guys, right? And during that time, there was alignment. That's why they were able to be so successful. For the first time in a while, there is alignment between under President Tate. There was alignment from the president to the AD to the coaches. Everyone was in alignment. And so when Governor Landry installs his president, will his hire keep the alignment going? Or would it stall the alignment? Or would it break up the alignment? And I think that's the worry right now if you're an LSU fan. You need alignment. And you say anything you want about athletics and whether you like it or not, but I'm assuming you guys like athletics because obviously you're watching the stream right now. But LSU, or any this is not just LSU, every university around the country wants their sports to do better. When their sports are good, their enrollment goes up. Look at Kansas State. Kansas State, I believe, had like 5,000, 6,000 students in the early 90s. But then their football team got really, really good, was a top 25 team every year, and their enrollment tripled and quadrupled. Clemson, when they were rolling in the 2010s, when they're winning national championships, their enrollment skyrocketed. LSU actually was at I listened to this on Matt Moscona's show. LSU had a enrollment of 23,000 in 2006. When Nick Saban left LSU, their enrollment was 40,000. And I actually wrote a paper on this. When LSU won the national championship in 2019, there was a massive boost in out of state students that got accepted to LSU. A lot of them came from California. Well, there's some of them, of course, came from Florida, Texas, and the usual. But there's a lot more students from the state of California that went to LSU around the same time that a little bit after the LSU won the national championship in 2019. It's a real thing. So the university wants to be good at athletics because obviously that's a major money drive. But what happens if Jeff Landry hires somebody that is not part of the alignment? How will that affect LSU sports? Will LSU football keep it going with the NIL and how they recruit and funding the football program? How will the baseball program look? How will the basketball, the men's and women's basketball programs look? How will gymnastics look? Especially during the time where there's talks about certain schools cutting their athletic programs because of NIL and how it's affected the big three sports, which is football, basketball, and baseball. So it's very important for Governor Landry to hire the right person. I think a lot, and LSU fans have a lot to worry about. They really do, because what happens if Governor Landry just hires some stooge? And I'm not saying this. I mean, this is what LSU fans are probably thinking. Well, I'm saying they hire some stooge, and he doesn't know what the hell he's doing, and then it just ruins the alignment. That's a real possibility, and I think a lot of LSU fans are kind of worried about that, and I understand it because the alignment was set under Governor Tate, President Tate. Now that he's leaving for Rutgers, how does that alignment look now? It's just a lot going on in LSU, and I think this is a bigger story than what maybe people should be, than what people are laying out to be. It's actually a big deal. It really is. But anyway, moving on from that subject, let's go over some recruiting news. Sorry about what happened there. Sorry about that. I don't know what even happened there. I don't know. My computer just did the weird. But anyway, let's go on some recruiting news. That's where I left off. Of course, there was a lot of news that came out over the weekend. But starting with the big news, 4-star quarterback Bo Bentley announced that LSU will be in his top 2. Usually, you don't see recruits have a top 2. You usually see them have like a top 3 or a top 3, top 4, top 5. And then they make their decision from there. For Bo Bentley, it just came down to 2 schools, LSU and Oklahoma. Bo Bentley is around 6'1". He's 200 pounds. He preps at Salina High School in the state of Texas, which is a fairly successful program they got over there, of course. And he's a big-time recruit. He is a composite top 100 player and a top 10 quarterback in the country. And when I mean, yes, Salina is Salina is a highly successful program. They have won 9 state football championships, including last year. So he's a state championship winning quarterback. They also have the longest all-time consecutive winning streak in Texas high school football at 68 games from 1998 to 1992. He's a big-time quarterback, and he's also a dual-threat guy. He is I won't say a true dual-threat guy, but he is a dual-threat guy. Bo Bentley threw for just around 3,300 yards, and he also ran for nearly 1,000 yards last season. And here's his rankings right here. On 3, this is the composite rating. He's 85th nationally. He's the 9th overall quarterback in the country, and he's the 11th highest rated prospect in the state of Texas. This is the composite rating based off of the 4 major recruiting sites, which is On3, 24/7, ESPN, and Rivals. Rivals and On Three. By the way, On Three bought Rivals, so they kind of view them the same way. On Three is 42nd in the according to On Three themselves. He's 42nd in the country, the fifth overall quarterback, and the fourth highest prospect in the state of Texas. Rivals second highest, 103rd nationally. He's the number 10 quarterback in the country and the 15th rated prospect in the state of Texas. 24/7 view him. Don't view him as high, but it's still respectable in the top 200. If you're in the top 200, you're a solid player. 180th nationally, 11th highest rated quarterback in the country, and 28th in the state of Texas. We're gonna know this ESPN grade right here because ESPN is not very good at recruiting. I think you guys know that. But here are all the and look, people say, well, why is he all over the place? Does that mean like he's overrated and blah blah blah? No, it doesn't. Look at the schools that offered: Oklahoma, LSU, Florida State, Georgia, Ohio State. Like if you get offered by those four schools right there, like he would have to be a pretty respectable quarterback, and he went along with LSU and Oklahoma. Right now, according to On Three, Oklahoma is the favorite. It makes sense because Salina is in Texas. It's not far from Norman, actually. I don't think. Salina is in the Dallas area, so it's not that far from Norman. Norman is right outside Oklahoma City, and that's probably about a 4 to 5 hour drive, maybe. I would say that, and so so right now he's projected to go to Oklahoma, but LSU is right there with 23.8%. Not as high as Oklahoma, but once again, Oklahoma and LSU are in the top two. The top two schools, and he's going to pick between those two schools. Of course, we all know that LSU is looking for a quarterback from the class of 2026. Bo Bentley is in the course of the class of 2026. Remember, and the reason why LSU did not before now has not signed a quarterback from the class of 2026 is because remember Bryce Underwood was literally committed to LSU for a whole year from early January till early November. So he was committed to LSU for a solid 10 months. And then Michigan dropped the bag. He flips his commitment to Michigan, and LSU went without a quarterback. That's why they went out and got Michael Van Buren out of the transfer portal because they needed a solid backup quarterback, but also potentially a successor to Garrett Nussmeier. So lucky for LSU, they're still in the running for Bo Bentley. Actually, they have a great chance of landing Bo Bentley. So keep an eye on that. That he'll probably make a decision in no time, probably in the next month or so. But LSU is in the running to possibly get a quarterback in the class of 2026. Right now, LSU has one of the better recruiting classes in the country. LSU is number one right now. They signed, according to On Three, they've signed 2 5-stars, 6 4-stars, and 1 3-star. They signed 9 total. They've had 9 total commitments, which isn't a lot because the next team over is USC. They have number 2, and they have 27 commitments. Ohio State is 13. Notre Dame is 16, and Oregon has 8. So they have one more than Oregon, but if you look at the next 2 down, they've already reached double digits. And USC has a lot of commitments. But LSU is standing very good. The next guy I want to go over is a guy by the name of Zane Krempkin. He also named his Zane Krempkin. He also had his announced his top 4 schools. I'm going to pull it up for you. So Hayes Hot Fawcett, of course, is the main guy who drops all the recruiting news. He really is the only guy. He was the same guy that announced who dropped the Bo Bentley news. But Zane Krempkin is one of the top prospects out of the state of Texas. So another big time player from the state of Texas, 6'5", 270. He goes to Prospero High School in the state of Texas. And he announced his top 4 schools, which is LSU, Texas A&M, Michigan, and Texas. Of course, Texas and Texas A&M. You already know he's going to have the top 2 schools from the state of Texas. Michigan, we know they've had a lot of success at getting at recruiting offensive linemen and also developing them for the next level. Then they also have LSU, and LSU has made Zane Krempkin a priority guy. I've actually talked with Zane Krempkin before about his stance with LSU, and he really likes LSU. He has a really close relationship with Brad Davis. This is actually him with Brad Davis right here. He's Brad Davis has personally visited him multiple times. Like, Brad Davis really wants Zane Krempkin. Like, it's no secret. And Zane has a close relationship with Brad. I think it can come down the wire. I don't know if he's gonna commit to LSU or not. Right? I do know he loves LSU. They're definitely near the top of the list. But remember, you also got to compete with those 2 Texas schools as well. With Texas has a lot of money, and A&M notoriously has a lot of money. Michigan also comes to play as well, but I don't think he's going to Michigan. It's going to be between the 2 Texas schools and LSU. That's where I really think. But he's also a composite top 200 recruit, according to On3. So once again, the composite rankings are all 4 recruiting services put together as one. So it's basically his average ranking. So he is the number. He is 179th nationally, so he's in the top 200. He's the 13th rated interior offensive lineman, and he's the 24th rated prospect out of the state of Texas. His highest ranking, of course, is 176, and Rivals as lowest as ESPN. Once again, I kind of ignore ESPN, and actually, I think his ranking would be much higher if they didn't include ESPN. I don't really like ESPN's recruiting services. I just don't. I really don't. But if you look at it from right here, and just kind of ignore this because that's the RPM meter, but he's already announced what his top 4 schools are. But just to let you know, LSU is definitely in the running. That's obviously because it's in the top 4. Because LSU's in the top 4, but LSU has a great chance of letting Zane Krempkin, based off my conversations with him. Actually, we could probably put him on the stream soon to get his thoughts on LSU. That would be really interesting to hear from him on this on the Voice of College Football Network. But once again, Zane Krempkin, keep your eye out on him. I think he will be making his commitment sometime during the summer. I think he did tell me that, but I'll ask him that later. But anyway, the next guy that you should be on the look for is a receiver by the name of Easton Royal. Easton, of course, is from the state of Louisiana, more specifically New Orleans. He is a preps at Brother Martin High School, of course, and I think a lot of you guys are probably familiar with Brother Martin if you're from the state of Louisiana. But if you're an LSU baseball fan, Trey Morgan is an alumnus of Brother Martin High School, and so is Blair Barbier. So that's their high school. They're just named 2 baseball players. Of course, Brother Martin has has great tradition in baseball. Actually, they just went to the state championship a few days ago where they played against Catholic, but they lost in both games in a 3-game series. But Easton Royal is one of the top prospects, not only in the state, but the country. Right now, he's considered to be a top 25 prospect in the composite rankings. In the class of 2027, he's 23rd nationally. He's a third rated receiver nationally as well, and he's the 4th highest prospect in the state of Louisiana. And and most of the guys, he is a dude. He is a bona fide dude, and I've seen him play in person. Like it's I cover a lot of recruiting for TigerBait.com. Mike Scarborough and Preston Guy. Pretty sure you guys heard of those names before. But I'm actually planning to do something with Eastern pretty soon. I hope I'm trying to set them up because I'm gonna start having a lot more recruits coming on here as well. I'm planning on doing that. But Easton is a guy where Easton's a guy where if he's getting the ball, you set it up perfectly. You set the defensive play call perfectly because he's getting the ball, but it doesn't matter. He's got the ball in his hands and he's gonna make magic with it. He is 5'11", 185 pounds. Goes to Brother Meyer High School. This is rankings right here. Like I said, 23rd nationally, third highest rated receiver in the country, and the fourth highest rated prospect in the state of Louisiana. On three, Rivals has him rated as high as 15th nationally, third, and still the third highest rated receiver in the country, and third in the state of Louisiana. On three is second most, 25th nationally, fifth receiver in the country, fifth highest rated receiver in the country, and the third highest rated player from the state of Louisiana. Of course, 24/7 is the lowest, 71st nationally, 11th highest receiver, 11th highest rated receiver in the country, and the fifth highest rated player in the state of Louisiana. He's a legit bona fide dude. Like he is, I can't repeat this enough. He can take over a game. He not only is a great receiver, and he's and an awesome returner as well, but he's one of the fastest people in the state of Louisiana. He actually was the runner-up, I believe, in the 100-meter dash. Like he's a very, very fast player, and it really took LSU a little while for them to offer him. And I know he was waiting on the LSU offer. He's been waiting. They hadn't even contacted him. Actually, I remember last week I was texting with Mike Scarborough, and I asked him, has LSU reached out to Easton yet? And it's like they really haven't reached out to him that much. And then boom, he got an offer over the weekend from LSU, and he's definitely in the hunt. And LSU is definitely in the hunt to get Easton Royal. So that's a big deal that they offered him. It's about time that they offered Easton Royal because he is a game-breaking wide receiver. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up some recruiting news, right? Just for today. And then I'm gonna keep bringing out more updates over the course of the week. So I apologize for the lack of content. We had some technical difficulties. It wasn't just a me thing. It was everyone at the Voice of College Football Network. We had to change our there's issues, so that's why I really had to make content in the last few days. It was just difficult to do so with the technical difficulties. But anyway, now let's talk about LSU baseball. Of course, LSU won their series over South Carolina. They won 2 games out of 3. They lost their first one, which is very disappointing because they really should have won that game. But they won the series regardless. But that game 1 loss, I won't say hurt LSU chances of being a super regional. I think right where they stand, they're hosting super regional. But if you swept that series over South Carolina, that I would say that would have been a done deal, but it would have been a much better chance much better chance for LSU to host a super regional. And I'm going to pull up the RPI rankings right now. LSU is on the bubble. They are they're like right around 8th or 9th, I believe. So they're like right on the bubble. LSU right now is 8th. Despite them being the number 1 team in the country, RPI matters. That's what determines the seeding. And right now LSU is 8th. They're right on the cusp of the bubble. They're like literally on the bubble, actually. They're right on the bubble. And the teams that are above them are Georgia, Auburn, Vanderbilt, Texas, Arkansas, Oregon State, and North Carolina. So LSU has a great shot at hosting the Super Regional, but they need a strong performance in the SEC tournament. Look, I would really like to have the finish of the season. I know that A&M series was tough, and really, if they won that A&M series, they probably wouldn't be on the bubble. But here they are. But I like how they finished off the season, right? They beat Tennessee and they beat Arkansas in 2 out of 3 weeks. They just finished off the season very strong, and that's even with their hitting struggles that has been well documented. They've really struggled hitting the baseball. It's been no secret. But LSU, they finished off the season winning 4 of their next 5. One, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so 4 of their last 5 weekend series of the year. They beat Alabama, they beat Tennessee, and they beat Arkansas, and they beat South Carolina. So they finished off the season impressive. They really did, and that was even with their hitting struggles. If LSU wants to for surely host a super regional, they need a strong performance in Hoover, right? They really do. And last week they did improve their hitting. They did, and that's a huge reason why they were able to beat South Carolina. In their games against South Carolina, in their loss they scored 5 runs, but the next 2 they scored 8 and they scored 7. So it's not a bad performance, but you need to improve your hitting. You really do. It may have come around the South Carolina game, but is that one-off or will they keep it going? So if you look at the SC batting average, Chris Stanfield. So originally there was just 2 batters that were hitting 300. It was Chris Stanfield and Daniel Dickinson. Chris Stanfield leads LSU in batting average in SEC play with 326. Daniel Dickinson was right behind him with 318. Daniel Dickinson before the weekend was not batting in 300, just kind of right on the cusp. But he had a strong performance last weekend. That's why he's batting 318 in SEC play. Ethan Fry has been awesome from behind has been awesome at the plate. He's really stepped up in a big way. That started in that series against Tennessee, and he's really catapulted that performance throughout the rest of the regular season. Jake Brown, even though he's had some moments that have been questionable, overall he's been a solid contributor to LSU's success. And Derek Curiel was batting really well, but he's been kind of in a slump, and that's expected for a freshman, right? He's going to hit us. Everyone's going to hit a slump, including Derek Curiel, despite his awesome freshman campaign. It's just going to happen. But LSU needs a strong performance in Hoover. They really do. And from the way things are looking right now, I'm actually going to pull up their bracket for you guys. Right now, they are the number 1 seed, or at least they're in the top 3. So they had a bye. And here it is. So they had a bye, right? So they are make a full screen. So they had a bye. So LSU is the 3rd seed. They will face the winner of Mississippi State. Well, they will face. So they'll face the winner of Auburn and the winner of Game 4, which will be between Mississippi State and Texas A&M. Texas A&M is the 14th seed. Mississippi State is the 14th Mississippi State is Mississippi State's 11th seed. Texas A&M is the 14th seed. That game will be played tomorrow, and then LSU doesn't play till Friday, so they got a long rest, right? So if you win one game, you're probably going to host a super regional. But if you're LSU, you want to win as many games as you can, and really not win as many games as you can. Win the whole damn thing. That's what you got to do, right? If you have the mindset you're going to win the whole damn thing, you don't have to worry about where you're going to be in the super regionals. I think that's very important for LSU to win as many games as possible. Don't worry about getting that win you need to host a super regional. Win as many games as you possibly can. You need the bats to come around. You need the lineman has. There needs to be some linemen in the pitching staff. We already know the stars are going to ball out. Anthony Ianson and Cade Anderson. Anthony Ianson and Cade Anderson both have over 115 strikeouts. They've been phenomenal in the recent weeks, especially in SEC play. And they're going to keep it going. But you also need those bullpen guys to come through. They haven't been bad, but they've been inconsistent throughout the year. Zach Collins looked like one of the better relievers in the country, but the last 2 weeks it looks like he's had a slump. You just need everything to come together like it did last year, where LSU was kind of on the brink of not making the tournament, but then they advanced all the way to the SEC finals, and that got them the number 2 seed in the Chapel Hill Regional, but they unfortunately lost against North Carolina in the final game of play. But anyway, that's going to wrap up today in LSU Tigers Live. The show's going to be clipped, so if you may miss a segment early in the show, it's going to be up on our YouTube channel later. And also, I'll create some more content as the week goes along with our other podcast, Game Time, which I am the solo host of. Today, of course, I was a solo host because Zach couldn't make it. He had a graduation to attend to, but he'll be back next week. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to LSU at the Voice of College Football Network. And also make sure to click on the bell because it will notify you whenever we release a new video. But anyway, you guys have a great rest of your week, and go Tigers.